Hello! In the midst of all the hardcore Nuzlocks out right now, it's quite tough to find a fresh new type of challenge. Move evolutions, introduced in Generation 4 during the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum era, requires the player's Pokémon to know a specific move for it to be able to evolve. A more recent example of a move evolution Pokémon would be a Sylveon, where it requires an EV to be leveled up while knowing a fairy type move. Since the concept of move evolutions was introduced in Generation 4, I was left with two choices, the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum games or the Johto remakes. In this video, we'll be covering Pokémon Platinum, where a majority of the move evolutions Pokémon are available. Let's get the rules out of the way first. Number 1, any Pokémon that faints must be permaboxed. Number 2, only catch the first relevant Pokémon encountered in each area. Number 3, no items during battles. Number 4, no overleveling. And number 5, set the battle mode to set. There would be an exception to rule number 2 later on, but we'll cover that when we get to it. There is only a total of 7 Pokémon that I can use throughout the run, so some liberties had to be taken. In Pokémon Platinum, the first move evolutions Pokémon that we are able to encounter would be an Aipom. But Aipom isn't immediately available before the first gym. The soonest we can encounter an Aipom would be after we get to Flowerama Town, where we're first introduced to the concept of honey trees. Since starting the game with the usual Sinnoh starters up until that point could be a bit too easy, I've replaced one of the starters with an Aipom. The monkey Pokémon will be replacing the Piplup slot. Now then, before we get started with the run, check out this graph. Apparently, only 12.1% of you guys are subscribed. If you enjoy these videos, don't forget to sub and hit the bell, or leave a customary roast. They really do help with the channel growth and with the algorithm. With that said, here we go with the run. We start at the new Platinum file and name our character Fool. It's almost customary at this point. We also get a chance to name our rival, so meet Harambe. Hopefully, this one won't be shot and put down. We spawn in our room, watching a program covering the work of Professor Rowan. Harambe barged in, urging us to follow him. We had no reason not to follow Harambe, so we did. As we stood by and watched Harambe recklessly attempt to brave the tall grass, Professor Rowan himself stopped us. He ended up giving us the opportunity to pick a Pokémon after being impressed by our love for them. We tried to pick a Piplup, but it seems the original Piplup got swiped and replaced with a Monkey. No worries, we picked the Aipom and handily bested Harambe in a Pokémon battle. Harambe wanted to catch a legendary Pokémon, but all we found was the spaceman acting quite rude. We stepped aside nonetheless. We went through some more early game shenanigans and finally was able to nickname our Pokémon. Meet Monkeybo. I spent the first good couple of hours EV training Monkeybo in attack and speed, so the local Shanks and Starly population really took a hit. After we got the Pokédge, we got a really useful tool, the step counter. This is really important because we'll be teaching Monkeybo Return, a move which scales in power with how friendly the Pokémon is. At maximum friendship, Return's power goes all the way up to 102, giving us a good head start on the game. And of course, one of the surefire ways to raise friendship in most Pokemon games is by walking. So, we had to exercise. Quite a lot. And some more. And just a bit more. With Monkeybo at maximum friendship, the Harambe rival battle was a complete joke. It was 2 instant kills, and we moved on to Orberg. At the gate, this friendly hiker gave us the Rock Smash HM, which would be vital in the upcoming gym fight. We called upon Rock Dude and went on a side mission before actually challenging the gym. One exception to the rules that I made in this run would be here, where I caught a Machop. Now you might be saying, but a Machop is not a move evolution Pokemon, and you'd be right. This is an exception, because I won't actually be using this Machop, I'll only be using it to trade for an Abra. Now you might be thinking, but good sir, an Abra is not a move evolution Pokemon, and you'd be right again. The only thing I needed from this Abra is the Oran Berry attached to it and away it went, never to be seen again. Right now we could only use a normal type Aipom to face a rock type gym, so we needed all the help we could get. Before we move on, over the course of my last 2 videos, I've been practicing this move evolutions run a lot. And by a lot, I mean a lot. So coming into this run, I have a pretty good idea of what to expect. Now then, it was time for the first gym. Rock Dude led his Geodude, and I only have Monkeybo to send out. I opened with a Sand Attack, which lowered the Geodude's accuracy. The first Rock Throw unfortunately hit, and Monkeybo hit another Sand Attack, resulting in a missed Rock Throw. In the next turn, Monkeybo used Rock Smash and took about a third of the Geodude's health. The Geodude's Rock Throw missed again, courtesy of the Sand Attack. Here, I used Return to avoid taking the Geodude's health down to red, but it went there anyway. Another Rock Throw was missed, and Rock Dude healed. 2 Rock Smashes later though, Rock Dude's first Pokemon was finally down. Monkeybo learned to Tickle in the level up, which would immediately be used against Onix, Rock Dude's next Pokemon. The Onix hit his Rock Throw, but it barely did any damage. Monkeybo spammed Rock Smashes from here, healing once with the held Oran Berry. Finally, it was time for Rock Dude's last Pokemon, his Cranidos. Monkeybo outsped the fossil Pokemon and hit his Rock Smash, taking down a bit more than half health. The Granados hit back with a headbutt, leaving Monkebo with 13 health. The next Rock Smash ended the fight, earning us our first gym badge. I thought it was going to take me a couple of more tries to get through Rock Dude, but I guess I had pretty good RNG to start off the run. Over at Jubilife, we kicked some galactic ass that was harassing Professor Rowan, and got this fashion case from this creepy dude. Monkebo kind of just one-shot all of Team Galactic's Pokemon with Return during the Valley Windworks fiasco, so here we are at the first Commander fight. Commander Redhead sent out her Zubat first, which immediately went down to a Monkebo Return. The Purugly was next and hit first with a Fake Out, which flinched Monkebo. Monkebo hit a Return next after getting hit with Scratch, taking down the big cat's health down to orange, which initiated a Berry Heal. The next Scratch was kind of nerve-wracking, but Monkebo survived and took down the Purugly. Commander Redhead called us names and exited the scene. One of the hardest things in this run was not to overlevel Monkebo, since I only had one Pokemon. Because of this, I had to evade pretty much all the trainers I can on the way to Eterna City. Thankfully, we were able to keep the run alive by the time we got to Flower Lady, with Monkebo capped at level 22. Flower Lady sent out her Turtwig first, and we of course only had Monkebo. Monkebo's Return couldn't take out a Turtwig in one go, which was a shame. The Turtwig then used Reflect, which was even more of a shame. Flower Lady's team physical defense was raised, and Monkebo was a full-on physical attacker. Monkebo would use 3 more returns before taking the Turtwig out, getting hit with 1 Razor Leaf in the process. The Sherm that came next tanked the return quite well on the first turn, setting up a Leech Seed in retaliation, which activated Monkebo's Oranberry. Monkebo got lucky with a crit and took it down in the next turn. By the time the Roserade came out, the Reflect had run out, so Monkebo's attack took it to the red immediately, and the Roserade had to heal with a berry. The Roserade missed her Stun Spore, and the next return ended the fight. Second gym done, and only one more gym before we could add more party members. In preparation for the cut HM, we caught a Bidoof in Eterna Forest and named it Almighty. We ran into Harambe and Scary Spaceman again, and a Blonde Lady after. Our next major battle was Commander Purple Lady over at the Eterna Galactic HQ. Much like Commander Redhead, her Zubat was quickly dealt with by Monkebo. The Skuntank, however, was a different story. The Skuntank's Night Slash hit quite hard, and while exchanging attacks, Monkebo almost bit the dust. Thankfully, Monkebo emerged victorious in the end, and we moved on. We received an egg that will hatch into another egg from the Blonde Lady, and got the bicycle. We boxed the egg, and continued to avoid even more trainers on our way to Hardhome. Scary Spaceman gave us Electro and space stuff, and just left. We had this awkward encounter with our mom, and called on French Lady to go back to the gym. We avoided the majority of the trainers in the gym, and challenged French Lady for the 3rd badge. This gym was probably the hardest gym in this run, as it took me a while to beat it during my practice runs. We needed slightly good RNG to get through this battle without wiping. In any case, she sent out her Duskull first, and Monkebo was on the scene once more. Monkebo used Screech, and the Duskull set up a future side attack. Monkebo hit a Thief on the next turn, and downed the Duskull in one go. French Lady's Haunter was next, and Monkebo used Thief again, which downed the Haunter's health to orange. Then, on a speck of godly RNG, the Haunter missed her Hypnosis, and the future side attack somehow failed. The next Thief hit, and the Haunter went down, leaving only her Mismagius left. Monkebo tanked a Psybeam, and hit back with a Screech, lowering the Mismagius' defense. Monkebo tanked another Psybeam, activating Monkebo's Oranberry. Monkebo's Thief hit, stealing the Mismagius' Citrus Berry. Monkebo got hit by another Psybeam, this time healing with a Citrus Berry. And finally, a signature Monkebo Thief ended the fight. I practically jumped out of my chair at this point, since we passed the hardest hurdle of the game before finally being able to catch more Pokemon. Before we get to do that though, we were ambushed by Harambe once more, forcing upon us a Pokemon battle. With the right strategy, this battle isn't that hard. Harambe's Saravia led the battle, lowering Monkebo's attack with Intimidate. Monkebo used Return on the first turn, while the Saravia used Double Team. In the next turn, it was one-shotted with a Return. Harambe's Buizel came out next, only to be one-shotted as well. The Grottle was up next, and the two spent the next couple of turns using stat moves. 2 Screeches and withdraws later, Monkebo went on the offense and used Return, while the Grottle still wasted his turn with a withdraw. After that, the rest of the fight was just Monkebo spamming returns, taking out Harambe's Ponyta. We spent the next couple of minutes evading most of the trainers on the way to Solaceon, and beyond Solaceon as well. We finally reached Route 215 and encountered a Lickitung, our next move evolution Pokemon. We were able to catch it and named it Lickibo. On the way to Veilstone City, Monkebo learned Double Hit and evolved. Not much choice here, there was just too many trainers to evade. In any case, we got ourselves an Ambipom. We skipped Veilstone City altogether and made a beeline straight to Pastoria City, where the Great Marsh is located. Here, I made another exception to rule number 2, where we can only catch one Pokemon per area. Our next two encounters, Tangela and Yama, are both located in the Great Marsh. And since, again, we only have 7 Pokemon in total available for this run, I'm going to consider the area we encountered them as different places. The Great Marsh houses a number of different areas, and we encountered a Tangela and Yama in both areas 1 and 2. So, to circumvent the area issue, we went to Area 1 to capture a Tangela, which we named Jellibo, and Area 2 to catch a Yanma, which was named Yanbo. I trained the team for a bit and encountered Dawn and Luchador Men in front of Veilstone's gym. And now, it was time for another underage gym leader, as she led her Meditite to open the battle. Yambo made his battling debut, scoring an aerial ace one-shot on the Meditite. Yambo leveled up and learned Ancient Power, the move required for his evolution. Underage gym leader sent her Machoke next, and I switched to Jellibo as the Machoke could one-shot my Yambo. Jellibo spent the fight basically spamming Mega Drains, recovering HP as the Machoke struggled to damage Jellibo. The Machoke went down, and Jellibo also leveled up and learned Ancient Power as well, the required move for her evolution. Jellibo was faced with underage gym leader's Lucario, and used Stun Spore to paralyze it. I switched back to Yambo, which the Lucario couldn't properly damage with its moveset, and ended the fight with aerial aces. After the battle, we were met with a double whopper of an evolution. Yanbo evolved into a Yanmega, and Jellibo evolved into a Tangrowth. Upon completing the gym, we helped Dawn recover her Pokédex from Team Galactic and got the Fly HM. It was time to grind some TMs for Likibo to Lickitung, so we went and gambled like any sane person would. I spent a lot of time on the slots. Too long. With enough coins, we bought the TMs for Thunderbolt and Ice Beam from the prize booth next door. After learning Rollout, Likibo was finally able to evolve, attaining his final form, a Licky. Yanmega couldn't use Fly, God knows why, so we had to capture a Staravia and named it Fly. We flew back to Pastoria, where we were ambushed by Harambe yet again, dragged into another battle. Harambe sent out his Staravia first, and I led Likibo. Staravia used Double Team, so Likibo missed his Thunderbolt. Twice. He thankfully hit his third one, downing the bird immediately. Harambe sent out his Ponyta next, and Likibo used Rollout, taking down the Fire Horse while tanking Stomps. Next was his Groddle, and Likibo still had 2 Rollouts left, meaning he had to tank 2 attacks. Likibo received too much damage, so out went Yambo, who was able to take out the Groddle with a Silver Wind. Harambe sent out his Breezel last, but it was pathetically useless and went down to a Silver Wind as well. Another win bagged over Harambe, our friend and rival. Next, it was time for Luchador Man and his team of water Pokemon. His Gyarados was out first, and it was Jellibo's time to shine. Jellibo somehow went first and attacked with Ancient Power, taking down half of the Gyarados' health, plus the Omni Boost. This was looking good. Jellibo tanked the Waterfall, and the next Ancient Power took down the Gyarados. Luchador Man sent out his Floatzel, which went down to a Mega Drain, and his Quagsire, who also went down to a Mega Drain. You know, for such a big and muscular figure, Luchador Man sure is a pushover. Upon exiting the gym, we were met with a crisis over at the Great Marsh. We tried to help while Harambe was just fooling around with his hands up his ass. We ended up chasing a Galactic Grunt around who had no cardio conditioning at all. We caught up to him in the end and bested him in a very easy battle. Harambe caught up, and so did Blonde Lady, who gave us medicine to cure the group of Psyducks over at Route 210. Like a good boy, we went over and healed the Psyducks even though Blonde Lady showed up right after and explained something about the Psyducks. You know, she could have done this herself. After defeating the Grunt in front of the cave in Celestic Town, we investigated the cave drawings, only to be interrupted by Scary Spaceman himself. He said something about space, but we weren't really listening. We did have to battle him though, with a Sneasel leading his team. Monkeybo was up first, and a Rock Smash took care of the Sneasel in one go. Next was a Skullbat, and a switch to Likibo. After evading a Supersonic and tanking an Air Slash, Likibo's Thunderbolt took the Golbat's health down to the red, which prompted a heal. 2 attacks later, the Golbat was down and out. Scary Spaceman's Murkrow was up next, and Likibo took care of the bird while tanking a Drill Peck. We got the Surf HM from Blonde Lady's grandmother, and she greeted us outside the cave. She seriously needs to help with one of these encounters. With Surf, we were able to go to Route 221 and capture a Sudowoodo. We couldn't actually capture a Bonsly until after the National Dex, so this Sudowoodo will have to do. It was named Woobo. And just outside of Canalave at Route 218, we caught a Mr. Mime and named it Meebo. At Canalave itself, Harambe popped out of nowhere again, and it was time for another Harambe battle. His Staraptor is fully evolved now, still leading his pack. Likibo was up first, and it was a comfortable score with Thunderbolt that took care of his Staraptor. Next was Heracross and a switch for Yambo, which basically took no damage at all. Yambo used Aerial Ace, and the Beetle had its life cut short. Harambe sent out his Rapidash next, and it was back to Likibo, who had to stare at the Rapidash's tail on the switch-in. Likibo tanked the takedown and finished the Rapidash with a Surf. Harambe went with Torterra, who set up a Leech Seed first. Likibo fired off an Ice Beam though, and it was just too much for the Torterra. Last was his Floatzel, who went down real easy from a Thunderbolt. Harambe just couldn't catch a break. We challenged Rock Dude's dad next with his team of Steel-type Pokemon. This battle was pretty easy, with Likibo championing our team. First up was his Magneton, which got taken care of with a simple Earthquake. Next was the Steelix, who was a bit more resilient to physical attacks. The first Earthquake didn't do much, but the Surf did. The Bastiodon was next, but it was just Likibo spamming Earthquakes and Surfs until the big fossil Pokemon finally buckled down and died. We got the 6th Gym Badge, and things were looking up. We went to Iron Island next, meeting up with Riley. He gave us the Strength HM and invited us inside. We followed after him and went together to battle the trainers inside. Except his Lucario got switched somehow. I guess it had something to do with the randomizer I used at the beginning to switch the starters. The whole time we were going through the island, I was stuck with a Riley who had a level 5 Rattata. This wasn't very fun. But that was quickly over and done with, and we went back to Canalave to progress with the plot. We met up with Professor Rowan, Dawn, and Harambe again, but an explosion shook Sinnoh's very core. We were tasked with investigating Lake Valor. The recording file for Lake Valor got corrupted because of OBS, but you guys didn't really miss out on much. The battle was pretty easy with Meebo. We raced to Lake Verity next, where Professor Rowan and Dawn was. We beat the Grunts and ended up facing Commander Redhead again. She led her Golbat, and I led Yanbo. Yanbo used Ancient Power, while the Golbat missed her Supersonic. The second Ancient Power downed the Golbat, and Redhead sent out her Bronzor next. I switched to Monkebo, who ended up spamming Fire Punches until the Bronzor went down. Commander Redhead sent out her Purugly last, and I switched to Jellibo, who easily took care of the Purugly with Giga Drains. Easy battle overall. As per Professor Rowan's request, we made the trek north and caught up to Harambe, who kind of just insulted us from the top of this cliff. We moved on and encountered the Swinub at Route 217 and captured it. It was named Swinebo. I used a rare candy on Swinebo before EV training it, evolving it into a Piloswine. We made a quick trip back to Orberg, grabbing this Heart Scale needed to learn Ancient Power. After, we went to this move tutor over at Pastoria and relearned Ancient Power for Swinebo. Now, he would be able to evolve into a Mamoswine. And evolve he did, into this cool looking Pokemon. Following Swinebo's evolution, we went up to Snowpoint's gym to challenge Ice Girl. Surprisingly, I had the most trouble with her out of all the gyms. Anyway, Ice Girl led her Sneasel, and I sent out Monkebo first. Monkebo used a Fist Blade boosted Brick Break and one shot at the Sneasel. Next was her Abomasnow, but Monkebo had a pretty easy time with her, using Fire Punch. And then it was time for her ace, Frostlass. Monkebo used Fire Punch, which took a really nice chunk of health, taking it down to the red. The Frostlass healed with her berry, and used Blizzard, leaving Monkebo's health in the orange. One Fire Punch later though, the Frostlass bit the dust. Last was her Piloswine, and I sent out Likibo. Likibo tried his best with Earthquake and Surf, but it was getting too risky, and Likibo could go down from a crit. So, I switched to Swinebo and finished it off with an Earthquake. We won and bagged the 7th badge. We caught up to Harambe in Lake Acuity, only to find that he had been beaten senseless by Commander Purplehead. Don't feel too bad, Harambe. At least you didn't get shot for grabbing a kid. Before continuing, we went back to the game corner and spent Mad Dough on coins to buy the Thunderbolt TM again for Amiibo. Then, together with Looker, we infiltrated the Veilstone Galactic HQ and beat all the grunts there in a Pokemon battle. We also attended an assembly of some sort. Eventually, we made it to the Scary Spaceman's office, where we would engage in a compulsory Pokemon battle after he mudded some more space mumbo jumbo. His Sneasel was up first and like the last time, got taken care of by Monkebo's Brick Break. He sent out his Crobat next, which outspat Monkebo and attacked with a Poison Fang. Monkebo hit back with a return, which dropped his health to the red, prompting Scary Spaceman to heal. 2 returns later, the Crobat was out of the battle, not without damaging Monkebo some more. His Honchkrow was next, and I switched to Swinebo, who tanked a Drill Peck on the switch in. Swinebo used Ice Shard, which is a priority move, and took down the Honchkrow's health down to orange. Swinebo tanked another Drill Peck and attacked with another Ice Shard on the next turn. I miscalculated the damage, and the Honchkrow lived with just a bit of health left. Thankfully, the bird went for a feint attack, leaving Swinebo with only 3 HP. Another good RNG roll. Swinebo went for another Ice Shard and finished the battle. Scary Spaceman went off somewhere, and we moved on to free the Lake Trio, but not before beating Commander Funky here in a battle. He led his Golbat while I led Meebo, which took care of the bat with one Psychic. He sent out his Bronzor next, and I switched to Likibo, who spammed Flamethrowers for the win, even after getting confused by a Confuse Ray. And last was the Poison Frog, who got quickly taken care of with 2 aerial aces by Yambo. We freed the Lake Trio, and Sharon was just there saying some crap. We trained for a bit and caught up to Team Galactic at Mount Coronet. We beat all the grunts on the way up and faced off against the last 2 commanders with Harambe. It's a pretty slow and lengthy battle with no actual strategic value, so I'll keep it short. Likibo took care of the Bronzors and Poor Ugly, Swinebo was really useless, and Wudo showed up at the end to take care of the Golbats. I'm not a big fan of the Pseudo-Wudo line, but I guess she did fine in this battle. Scary Spaceman unleashed something with Dialga and Palkia with the red chain, and somehow summoned Giratina as well, which was just kinda lurking there in the shadow. Scary Spaceman got pulled into the Distortion World, and Blonde Lady arrived just in time for some more last-minute exposition. Nice timing. We went through this Distortion World puzzle for the 3rd time in this channel, and I'm getting quite good at it, really. And we witnessed yet another lengthy sideways surf ride. Nice. Then, it was time for the final face-off with Scary Space Bossman. He led us Houndoom, and I led Wubo. Wubo got immediately burned with a Will-O-Wisp, but she was able to down the Houndoom with a Rock Slide. Scary Space Bossman's Gyarados was up next, so Likibo was up. Likibo tanked a Waterfall on the switch-in, and on the next turn, but the Thunderbolt that followed after took care of the Gyarados with ease. His Honchkrow was out next, and I risked a crit with his Drill Peck, though it kinda worked out. Likibo survived, and the Thunderbolt took out the Honchkrow. Scary Space Bossman sent out his Weavile next, and I switched to Monkabo, who tanked a chunky Night Slash on the switch-in. Monkabo outsped the Weavile, and used Brick Break for the one-shot. Last was his Crobat, and I switched to Swinebo, who resisted a Cross Poison really well on the switch-in. From here, it was just a couple of Avalanches and Ancient Powers from Swinebo, finishing the final galactic fight. We immediately rushed to the almighty Giratina, ruler of the Distortion World, and chucked a purple ball at it, naming it Giratinas. It quickly went to the box. Scary Space Bossman Boss went crazy after witnessing the Giratina being finessed by a child, and Blonde Lady took us home back to Sinnoh. We went back to Professor Rowan's lab, where he told us to challenge the final gym and take the Pokemon League challenge. So, we made our way to Sunnyshoire and did the customary Zapper Dude call out and went to his gym. We wasted no time over there and triggered his battle. Zapper Dude led with his Jolteon, and I sent out Monkebo first. Monkebo struck first with Return, and it was an easy sweep. Next was Zapper Dude's Raichu, and the strat was the same, a chunky Return. The Raichu went down in one shot, but Monkebo got paralyzed by the Raichu's static. Next was the Electivire, which struck first because of Monkebo's paralysis. The Thunder Punch did a good number, and of course the RNG wasn't with us and left Monkebo paralyzed. I switched to Swinebo, who safely switched in on a Thunder Punch. Swinebo ate a Fire Punch on the next turn, and retaliated with an Earthquake, which took care of the Electivire easily. Last was Zapper Dude's Luxray, so I switched to Likibo, who tanked a Fire Fang on the switch-in. Likibo tanked more Fire Fangs in the next 2 turns, while hitting back with Earthquakes. Likibo scored the final win, securing us the 8th gym badge, qualifying us for the Pokemon League. There was this scene with Harambe and Jasmine, I guess, but I'm not really sure what to comment over it. Got the Waterfall HM though. None of the Pokemon in my team could learn Waterfall, so I evolved Almighty into a Bibarel to help us for the last stretch to the Pokemon League. Before we could challenge the league, we have one final meeting with Harambe. Harambe led us to Raptor again, and I led Yanbo. Yanbo hit first, scoring an Ancient Power hit, which one-shotted the bird. Harambe sent out his Rapidash next, and I switched to Likibo, tanking a Fire Blast on the switch. Likibo ate another Fire Blast to dish out an Earthquake in return, burying the Fire Horse completely. Next up was his Heracross, and back to Yanbo I went, taking minimal damage. The Heracross passed on, eating an Aerial Ace. Harambe chose his Floatzel next, and I switched to Jellibo, who tanked an Ice Fang on the switch-in. Jellibo has excellent physical defense, so I wasn't too worried at all. 1 Giga Drain later, it was like the Floatzel never even existed. Harambe's Torterra was called upon, so I switched to Swinebo. Swinebo used Avalanche, which proved that the grass Pokemon was no problem at all. And finally, it was time for Harambe's last Pokemon, his Snorlax. Jellibo was back out, tanking a Body Slam which left her paralyzed on the switch-in. Jellibo ate another Body Slam and hit back with a Grass Knot, which left the Snorlax in the orange, prompting a rest in the next turn. This was lucky for us, since Jellibo just needed to use a Giga Drain and a Grass Knot to finish the fight. Harambe pulled off a pretty low IQ move there at the end. Don't worry, Harambe, there's always a place for you in the Cincinnati Zoo. We went back to the game corner and blew off one final wad of cash, buying a Silk Scarf and an Ice Beam TM. I'm actually quite surprised I made it to this point without any resets, considering Rourke and Fantina proved to be quite a wall in my practice runs, so I guess practice does make perfect. In any case, here's my team for the Elite Four. Yanbo the Yanmega, Meebo the Mr. Mime, Swinebo the Mamoswine, Jellibo, the Tangrowth, Lickibo the Licky, and finally our monkey friend, Monkibo, the Ambipom. After buying some healing items, we had our badges checked and we entered the halls of the Pokemon League to begin with the challenge. First up was Bugman, and when has he ever given anyone a decent challenge? Yambo took charge, one-shotting Bugman's Yamega and Vespiquen with Ancient Power. He sent out his Drapion next, and I switched to Swinebo, tanking an Ice Fang on the switch-in. In the next turn, Swinebo ate an X-Scissor and hit back with an Earthquake, one-shotting the Drapion. Came the Scizor, I switched for Lickibo, who was hit with an Iron Head on the switch. After getting hit by an X-Scissor as well, Lickibo's Flamethrower was more than enough to take down the Scizor. Last was Bugman's Heracross, but it was another easy day in the office for Yambo. First one down, 3 to go. Next was the old lady, specializing in ground types. She sent her Wishcash out first, and I led with Jellibo. Jellibo had a pretty easy time with Giga Drain, going for that 4 times weakness. Old lady's Gliscor was next, and it was a no-brainer switch for Swinebo, who dodged an Ice Fang on the switch-in. I misclicked over here and went for an Earthquake, which did nothing to the Gliscor. The next attack was right though, as the Avalanche resulted in an easy kill. Old lady's Golem was up, so Jellibo was back on the scene. The Golem set up a Sandstorm, but Jellibo downed it in one go with Giga Drain. For the remaining 2 Pokemon, Jellibo tripped them both with Grass Knots, securing an easy win. Get this old lady out of here. And now, it was time for Fireman. I was genuinely terrified going up against this guy, because in my practice runs, it was always a 50-50 with this fight. About half my team is weak to fire types, and one bad turn could cost me my whole team and the run. As I started the battle, I was already on the edge of my seat. Fireman led his Houndoom, and I chose Lickibo to open the match. The Houndoom struck first with a Flamethrower, doing decent damage. Lickibo hit back with an Earthquake, successfully one-shotting it. The Infernape was next, and it will always hit a Flare Blitz against Lickibo. Lickibo ate the attack, surviving with just below half health. Thankfully, the Earthquake from Lickibo knocked the phony Monkey out. Fireman sent out his Flareon next, and he missed his Will-O-Wisp, allowing a free Earthquake hit from Lickibo. Then, his Rapidash came out, setting up a Sunny Day. This was really bad, because this meant Fireman's Magmortar will hit extra hard. I dreaded the next turn as I watched the Rapidash go down. At this point, my best bet was to sack a Pokemon and hit first with Meebo on a fresh turn after. In this case, I chose to sack Monkibo since I felt like the rest of the team can still safely win me the league. So, I sent Monkibo out into the fresh Hellfire of Doom. I don't know if this was a low damage roll or not, but I was wheezing and coughing up blood from the shock. I don't know how, but Monkibo survived the hit and gave me another lease on life. At this moment in the run, I was frantically checking Magmortar's stats again. So here, I have an Ambipom with full friendship, with a Silk Scarf, and a Magmortar with only 67 base defense stat. Of course, I went for it. Monkibo did it, but he got burned by Flame Body, and I was ready to cry if he died. But the battle finished and the burn damage didn't take place. This was glorious. Monkibo, you beautiful creature, I am ready to build a shrine for you. In any case, we healed our team and moved on to the final Elite Four, Creepy Cosplay Man. This battle was embarrassing, really, as most of his team are defensively weak, physical defense that is. Monkibo led the charge and used return after return to pick up his team one by one. Monkibo is speedy with really good attacking stats, so the Silk Scarf boosted return was doing wonders. The only change I had to make was at his Bronzong, where I switched to Lickibo and used 2 flamethrowers to finish the battle. So now, we mopped up the Elite Four with no casualties and only had the champion left for the final battle. And of course, it's the unhelpful blonde lady. As always, her banger of a theme came on and we started the fight. Her Spiritomb opened the battle and I sent out Yanbo. Yanbo hit first with Bug Buzz, taking more than half of the Spiritomb's health. The Spiritomb hit back with a Dark Pulse, which took about the same amount of damage from Yanbo. Yanbo's next Bug Buzz took down the Ghost type. Blonde Lady's Togekiss was next, and it was time for Yanbo's last move. Yanbo hit his last Ancient Power, and he died to a Water Pulse. I sent Meebo out next, and hit a Thunderbolt that was able to kill the Togekiss. Blonde Lady sent out her Lucario next, and at this moment I was cursing myself because I really shouldn't have taken out Focus Blast out from Meebo's move pool. In any case, Meebo's substitution did nothing, and Psychic was able to chip enough damage from the Lucario. Monkibo was then sent out, finishing the Lucario with 2 Brick Breaks. And then, it was time for the Garchomp. I switched to Likibo, who managed to avoid a Dragon Rush. The next turn, Likibo was hit by an Earthquake and managed to tank it well, surviving with more than half health. Likibo fired back with an Ice Beam that almost took down the pseudo-legendary Pokémon. It prompted a heal from a Citrus Berry, and the Garchomp hit a Giga Impact. Likibo thankfully survived and finished off the Garchomp with another Ice Beam. Of course, the fight didn't end there. Blonde Lady sent out her Milotic next, and I had to sack Likibo. I sent out Swinebo next, and Swinebo was just barely able to tank a Surf hit from the Milotic, dishing out a considerable amount of damage himself with an Earthquake. Of course, Swinebo had to go down right there, as I needed a fresh turn. As I sent Monkeybo out again, I knew that her friends had done enough. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Monkeybo would outspeed the Milotic and take it down with the return, and the Roserade never stood a chance with its physical defense stats. One final return later, it was over. We were able to finish the Move Evolution's only challenge with the Pokemon we started with as an added bonus. Blonde Lady took us to the Hall of Fame, where we were met with Professor Rowan. The credits roll, marking the end of this run. This run was a blast to do, because again, it forced me to use Pokemon I normally wouldn't even consider using. I love that these challenges actively made me play in a different way, putting me in situations I'm not familiar with. Although it did take me a while to practice this run, it was quite worth it. With that, as I lay my fallen Pokemon in the Heaven box, I bid you farewell, and hopefully, I'll see you on the next video. Take care.